This is Craig Ranke with Citizen Investigation Team. This presentation will feature on the account of one individual. That's Lloyd England, the taxicab driver who was traveling south on Route 27 at the time of the Pentagon attack and claims that his windshield was speared by light pole number 1 by a plane as it headed straight for the Pentagon. We focused a lot of attention on Lloyd because this critical account is really a make or break for the official story. If true, it in essence proves that a plane did come in low in level as shown in the security video and enter the building as reported. If false, then it proves staging and really that the entire 9/11 operation is a deception. We understand how it's difficult on a psychological level to comprehend that real people, regular people, would be involved with an operation on this level at all. But we must realize if 9/11 is a psychological deception, a military deception, a black operation of mass murder, it's feasible to suggest that dozens of operatives, assets, and deep cover individuals who may or may not seem to have ties to the government had to have been involved. That being said, researchers have questioned the account of Lloyd England for quite some time, simply by observing the photos of the scene, primarily of his taxicab and the lack of damage to the hood of his car. If, in fact, a light pole did spear it after being hit by a 90-ton Boeing, the obvious question is why isn't there any damage to his hood? Previously, researchers had thought of different possible scenarios to explain this. One of them being that, well, perhaps the pole itself isn't what speared the windshield, and maybe it was the top smaller part or an arm of the pole that just went through the windshield all the way to the back seat, whereas nothing was sticking out over the hood at all. So naturally this could be a fair consideration, but this assumption was made without ever having spoken with Lloyd England direct to find out what he said. And when you analyzed all his previous accounts, it seemed to be that he was in fact talking about the long part of the pole that actually speared the windshield of his cab. Lloyd was a major part of the propaganda to sell the official story and sell the event. He was interviewed by NBC, his images were used in the Moussaoui trial. It's very difficult to accuse a man of this nature as being involved in the plot. That's a big part, we believe, as to why he was probably put out in front and used on this level by the media and by the authorities to sell the official story. Let me give you a bit of a backstory. Back in 2006, before we had obtained the north side evidence, the accounts from all the Citgo Station witnesses and certainly the Arlington Cemetery witnesses who placed the plane on the north side of the gas station far from the light poles, we interviewed Lloyd. We had the opportunity to interview Lloyd in person at his house. In this interview, Lloyd cleared up any notion that it could have possibly been the small piece of the pole that he was talking about, and he made it quite clear that since the beginning, since day one, he'd been talking about the long, over 20-foot long remnant of the pole as being what speared his windshield, with the top lighter bent end being inside the cab in the back seat and the heavier base end of the pole being over the hood of his car as he came to a stop on the road.
And to clarify, it was the large piece of the base end?
It's a large, yeah, the large piece that was sticking out across the hood.
Wow.
And the pole came right on through to the back seat. If anybody had been sitting in the back, sitting in the front on the right side, the pole would have went through them.
Sure. And it actually was laying on your hood then?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. But there are no scratches on the hood. I mean, if you looked at the car, to look at the outside damage, you don't see nothing but the windshield. But if once you enter into the car, then it's a whole difference. I mean, it's a world of difference. I mean, it's a world of difference.
So Lloyd was quite clear about this in our first interview back in 2006. And of course, right away, a lot of the researchers were amazed that he could make such an assertion so boldly and blatantly to the camera. But again, he had been saying this since day one. Really, in essence, Lloyd's account is physically impossible on its face. And this is the case if you listen to what he says about coming to a stop with the pole still in his car and attempting to remove the pole afterwards and falling down on the ground as he was removing it with help from a silent stranger who did not say a word.
A car was coming, well, I guess you call it more or less a van. And I asked the guy, would he help me get the pole out? So He stopped. He never said a word. I said, man, it's mighty quiet. It's so quiet. And he never said a word. He helped me get the pole out. The pole happened to be bent when we pulled the pole out, and the pole was bent, and the bent part took me down to the ground. I fell down on my back, but I held the pole up and laid the pole down, and he got in his van and went on down the road.
This is what he claimed, and after obtaining the evidence proving that the plane actually flew on the north side of the Citgo station.
You're talking about the street right here on the north side of the Navy Annex?
On the north side of the Navy Annex.
Yeah, not the south side, the north side. It was in between from where the gas station is, but more over this way more.
So would you say it was more on the north side of the gas station over here, or the south side on the far other end?
It was more on this side.
On the north side?
Right on this side.
Okay.
No, it was more to the left.
More to the left, okay. And was the plane, the entire plane to the left of the station, or maybe portion of it over the canopy of the station?
No, it was more towards the left.
All right, now how sure are you that the plane was to the north, coming from the north side of the Navy Annex? You're saying it was pretty much between the Navy Annex and Arlington Cemetery?
Yeah.
How certain are you of that?
100%. Bet my life on it.
Just swoop down here and I tried to follow it, and I saw it lift up a little bit, and I saw it lift up a little bit. 100% sure that what I saw is the plane come out from this corner of the canopy.
There's no way it was anywhere other than where I said it was.
After our first interview with Lloyd, we presented this evidence and then compiled a presentation featuring the entire interview with Lloyd England, showing the ridiculousness of his claims and really exposing why this account is so questionable, because the plane was nowhere near the poles and this scene had to have been staged. So the name of the presentation we put out was called The First Known Accomplice. We added a question mark so you, the viewer, can make your own decision, come to your own determination based on the evidence, whether or not Lloyd is in fact involved with this event. Of course, the cab is his, and we know that if anyone knows how that cab got damaged, it would have to be Lloyd England. So never have we accused Lloyd England as being willingly involved with this operation, because we don't know that and we can't prove it. He could in fact be a victim who was coerced on some level or manipulated on some level, which would in essence make him a victim that was forced to be involved with this event. But we don't know that either. He could be willingly involved. What we call for is for the authorities to bring Lloyd England in for questioning and to analyze his account and analyze the whole situation with the light poles in the plane forensically. This has never been done. The light poles have not been included in any official report. There's been no official documentation. We filed FOIA requests with the VDOT, the Virginia Department of Transportation, to try to get them to document the exact location of the poles. They wouldn't provide us with any information in that regard as well. So it's clear there's an effort by the authorities to not reveal details and not reveal information regarding the light poles, despite the fact that this was used to help sell the official story ambiguously with images and such showing the cab on the road with the damage and the pole next to it, and using Lloyd's face as a face of this event that would be hard to not believe in regards to what his own personal experience was. But again, the evidence that we provide, that is now 13 times corroborated, showing how the plane was on the north side of the Citgo gas station, really proves that Lloyd's account is simply false, and that the whole situation reeks of staging on multiple levels. So after we put out the original piece showing you Lloyd's account and everything involved with it, and basically asking people to look at this and to consider the notion that he was involved with this event and that his scene was staged, we came out under a lot of criticism. A lot of people questioned us for accusing Lloyd being part of the operation. So once again, we're not directly accusing him. He could very well be a victim. We're simply laying out the evidence. And yes, the evidence does happen to implicate Lloyd England. And that's certainly not our fault. This was well known, and we're quite certain, well, we know for a fact that Lloyd was made aware of the presentation. So we never heard from Lloyd. But in June of 2008, when I returned to Arlington to obtain further validation of the Northside claim from all of the Arlington National Cemetery workers who were at the maintenance buildings right across from the Citgo gas station, I obtained evidence on this level that gave me an extra level of confidence and made me realize, you know, it's time to approach Lloyd again and approach him with this evidence and see what he has to say about it. So that's what I did. I knocked on his door the day after speaking with the Arlington Cemetery workers. His wife, Shirley Hughes, answered the door and greeted me with apprehension. Told her why we were there and that we wanted to question Lloyd about 9/11 again, and she instantly recognized us and said, "Oh, not you guys again." So she wasn't happy to see us, but she said she'd go in and see if Lloyd was willing to talk.
Hi there. Is Lloyd England here? This is Craig Rankin. We talked to him about his experience on 9/11.
Go back again with that.
I said, yeah.
You see if he wants to talk.
Thank you. Thank you.
So she got Lloyd, and he came out, and instantly he talked about people doubting his account, us doubting his account. So it was clear he was aware of the piece we had done about him in the past. We asked Lloyd about this, and we'll take a listen to this recording that I made as we knocked on his door, and Lloyd informed us of this and ultimately invited us into his home.
Now, so what is it that you've heard that people are saying?
Well, they're saying that what I said couldn't be true because it appears there was no damage done to the car. It's just something that people have made a mountain out of that they don't know nothing about. I don't want to debate it.
Right.
Because there's no reason for me to debate something that somebody's talking about that they don't know what they're talking about.
Right.
If there's been a lot of people there and we were discussing it, it's different, but there was no one there but me.
Right. What do you mean no one there but you?
There was no one there. I was the only one driving the car. There's not another car involved in it.
That's true. You're the only one that can know how your car got damaged.
Right. That's right.
You're the only one that can know.
So there's no explanation for me to try to give to overcome what they're saying because they don't know.
Okay, but you're sure? You said you were sure that the entire pole itself was in the back seat and that you lifted it out, right?
I took it out.
Then how come everyone is wondering why there was no damage to the hood?
The car speaks for itself. I don't have to say anything for the car. The car speaks for itself.
Right, that there's no damage to the hood. Right.
I still had a car intact. The car is still there.
Can we show you something? Can we show you what some other witnesses told us? Because we've interviewed, since we talked to you, we've talked to dozens of people who saw that plane. Okay. Dozens. Okay. A lot of them right up in the Citgo station. Just yesterday, I interviewed 4 of the guys, the mechanics and guys who were working up in Arlington Cemetery.
Right.
So they all saw that plane come in. Right. They watched it. You didn't watch the plane. You couldn't see it. You were driving your cab.
Only thing I saw was when the plane went over.
Right.
All of a sudden there was a crash.
Right.
Glass and everything went on through my car.
Well, all these guys saw the plane. We talked to dozens since you. When we first talked to you, you were like one of the first people we talked with.
Right.
And since we put your interview out, you're right, a lot of people have questions.
Right.
So we're like, well, we got to find out where people saw that plane fly. So we talked to all kinds of people, and the guys at Arlington Cemetery all said something interesting, and I don't know, I'd like to show you if you don't mind. We show you.
How do you want to show it?
I got some information on that they drew on the pad and stuff, and just get your reaction. I don't know if we can come in there and maybe just film a little follow-up interview with you.
You can come in.
All right.
Okay, so Lloyd invited us into his home despite the protests of his wife, Shirley. Right away, this is rather strange, you would think. Put yourself in the shoes of Lloyd. If you're an honest person who had a near-death experience in 9/11 with this plane, and you knew people were accusing you or suggesting that you may have been involved with this operation, and the same person showed up on your doorstep, what would be your reaction? Would you invite him into your home? Would you have invited me into your home if you were in Lloyd's shoes? He let us come in. As I set up the camera, was asking him questions, and he started going over his account again as he had told us in the initial interview. And his wife Shirley was listening. She said a few things that were rather curious. Number one, that she knows why the cab was not taken in as evidence by the FBI.
There's a lot of different questions about what happened on 9/11. And that debate swirls around, and kind of Lloyd's in the center of it, you know? Mostly because that's where the physical evidence begins, is with his cab. So it's pretty serious, and what we're most concerned about is why the government didn't look into that.
Not a bit.
Not a bit. I mean, what's up with that?
I know why they didn't, but I'm not going to say.
What do you mean? Why?
I'm not going to say.
Oh, come on.
No.
So this is very questionable. Why would she know this? Well, we know from our first interview with Lloyd that Shirley is an employee of the FBI. The fact is that she did express to us that she knows why the cab wasn't taken into evidence, and then immediately decided not to elaborate on that. I proceeded to move forward with my new interview of Lloyd, and the idea wasn't so much to get his account this time, since we already had it, and he had told it to multiple media outlets as well as us many times over, so it wasn't a matter of just getting him to repeat what he'd already told us. The idea here was to show Lloyd this new evidence and explain to him how his account is irreconcilable with this evidence. It became clear really quick that Lloyd anticipated what we were going to show him. He knew that we had evidence proving that the plane wasn't near these light poles. So his instant way to combat this was to describe himself in a different place and suggest that he was on the north side of the gas station, underneath the north flight path, where the plane really flew. Of course, we have plenty enough images, video footage of the event to prove where the poles and Lloyd and the cab really were. And we know that they were on the south side of the bridge. Regardless, Lloyd stuck to his new claim that he was on the north side, nowhere near where any of the physical damage was, including the down light poles. And basically shifted the argument, because now it wasn't a matter of, hey, your account is irreconcilable with all this other evidence. Now it was a matter of, well, you weren't located here, you were located here. So it was just a continuous argument about the location of Lloyd and his cab on 9/11. Now it's interesting to note that he initially talked about somebody he knew that was at the event and took pictures. And he referred to these pictures as independent proof of his true location.
One guy took pictures. He lives right over on 17th Street.
He took pictures of the event?
And he took pictures. He was up on the bridge. He was up on the bridge. He was up on the bridge. He approached me. As far as I know, he still lives there. He's not. In fact, he's walking distance from here, but on the other side of the road.
So you're saying after the fact, he took a bunch of pictures?
No, he took pictures of it.
Of what?
He took pictures of the pole.
Of the pole, right.
He took pictures of the car.
Right.
And as far as I know, he still has them.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
During this interview, the images that I had to show him didn't give a good enough perspective of the exact location of the cab. None of them gave a wide enough view to show that he was, in fact, on the south side of the bridge. So he was able to maintain this facade that he was on the north side. And he used this independent person that he knew that had images as a source that he believed would prove that he was literally on the north side. And he used the different perspective of the images to suggest it anyway, even though we knew it wasn't the case. So after going back and forth on this, what I figured would be the best idea is to, of course, obtain these independent images that he said would prove he was somewhere else. So this would give us an extra set of data that, well, naturally new pictures of the event would be very interesting to see.
So what's up? That's the big question, Lloyd. I mean, you said the government never did anything, never investigated your cab or took it in for evidence, right?
No, they did not. And I was interviewed by the FBI once they knew I was still alive, because my wife works for them. And
she works for the FBI?
Yeah, and she said that they were saying that they had a problem trying to locate me. She said, "Well, I see him every day."
How long after the event did they interview you?
I can't recall.
Was it the same day or many days later, weeks later?
No, it wasn't that long afterwards. Maybe a day or so.
Just a day or so?
Yeah.
But they were looking for you?
Yeah.
And they
said they couldn't find me because they figured I was dead. Because I
figured you were dead?
Yeah, because the way the car was injured.
But what about, they didn't know there was no body there?
I can't answer for them.
Do you have any injuries at all? Like, were you injured from the event?
Not as far as I know.
Okay, so the pole didn't hit you and make you bleed or nothing?
No,
okay.
With all the glass and all the stuff that was around,
right.
I don't know how I pulled through.
All right, but you're certain that when you came to a stop at first, the pole was still in your car?
Oh yeah, I had to pull it out.
You had to pull it out because, well, I mean, you're right. A lot of people have been questioning this because it looks like to them that there's no damage to the hood of your car.
It isn't.
There is no damage to the hood of your car.
No.
But look,
pole didn't come from the ground.
So that's the pole, right?
The pole. That's right. That's after we pulled it out.
No. Doesn't that pole? I mean, doesn't that look how long it is?
I know it's long.
How could it?
It was in the car. It went from out here. It stopped in the rear seat.
Stopped in the rear seat, just the very top.
If anyone had been on the right side on me, the pole would have went right through them.
But you're saying the top bent part, the top lighter end of the pole, the very top, right, was in the back seat, the bent part?
That's right.
Now that's the lighter end of the pole, though.
That's right.
So that means the heavier end
was out, sticking
over
out.
the hood?
That's right.
But never touched the hood?
Never did. Because it went in at an angle.
Uh-huh.
It went at an angle.
Uh-huh. So when you pulled it out, you never touched the hood at all?
Well, it's two of us. A guy was coming down this road, and I flagged him down, and he stopped. And I asked him, would he help me get the pole out of the car? Because I'm going to drive the car home. The car is my only transportation.
Now, how soon after the event was this?
Oh, this is just like someone got hit, and a car came down the street, and I stopped him, and he was driving a van, and he stopped, and he helped me pull the pole out.
You never got his name?
He never said a word.
He never said anything to you?
He never did. He pulled it out, and
he never said, "Are you okay?" or
left.
anything?
He left.
He just helped you and just left. Well, see, the problem people wonder is how come a pole so long if the lighter end is inside? That means a lot of that big long pole's got to be sticking out over.
That's
so what held it up?
The car, the dash. It went through the dashboard.
The dashboard.
The car. It didn't hit it didn't hit like this. It hit at an angle. It like it was driven down.
Okay. But did it go through the floor of the car?
No, it stopped in the rear seat.
It stopped. Did it rip the rear seat?
We can see it.
We can see it.
The car is still there.
Yeah, we should.
It did not rip the rear seat.
We should go take a look. Well, here's what happened since we talked to you, Lloyd. Now, you were saying, man, that you know why they didn't investigate it, huh? Why they didn't investigate his cab?
I'm not saying a word.
Oh, come on. Why wouldn't you tell us?
Because nobody believes. They don't believe this because it didn't scratch the hood.
Right.
It doesn't have to. It doesn't have to ever go in as an angle and that part lean down more into the car as opposed to outside to touch the hood. Common sense tells you that.
Well, what I'm asking you is why didn't the government take his car for evidence?
You can't answer that. We don't know.
They took it for a day or two.
No, she says she knows.
I
heard it.
They took it for a day or two. I don't know what they did.
No, you said you know why they did not take it for evidence.
Leave it at that.
Okay. All right. All right. Now, here's what's going on, Lloyd. We've talked to dozens of people, like I said.
No problem.
Most of them saw the plane for a big long time coming.
Right.
All these guys, they were at Arlington Cemetery right here in the maintenance buildings.
Mm-hmm.
We talked to all the people who were at the Sitco station right here.
Mm-hmm.
Now, your car on the road, on the side of the road, in this picture, was right here.
No, it wasn't.
Yeah, we got pictures of it. Here it is.
My car is not there.
No, we got pictures of it.
No, my car was not there.
I can pull it up. I'll show
I
you.
don't care what you do. My car was at the Pentagon. My car was not across this bridge.
It was on this bridge. I'll show you the picture.
No, it wasn't. My car was back here. It was on route. Well, it was on 27.
I can pull up the picture. I don't have that one printed out, but I've got it. The car was right here.
No, it wasn't.
This pole is pole number 1. It was right here.
No, this pole is beside the cemetery. The cemetery is over here.
The cemetery is, it's over here.
That's where I was.
Well, all the poles that were down. If your car was over here, it wasn't by the poles, because the down poles are all right here. This is the way they were. By that bridge. Here's the first one. This is the one they said went into your car.
That's what they say.
That's the second one.
That's not true. My car was down here.
Well, none of these poles are down. They're all up in all the pictures.
Regardless of what they say, I was there. I know.
Well, and that's another thing. I got a picture of your car right here. That's where it was. So I can pull that up on the internet. I don't have that one with me.
The car is back here. I was driving it.
Right. Well,
hold it. I tell you what we can do.
Okay.
We can drive down there. I'll show you where the car was. The car was not here. This is Columbia Pike.
Well, your car's not there now, so you wouldn't be able to prove it by driving down there.
No, but I know.
I can show you by a picture of your car being right here.
It wasn't there.
I got the picture, so that's the thing.
It wasn't there.
You got the exact pictures that were taken that same day?
Yeah.
No, my car was not there.
It's on the internet. I'll show you.
Was the car there?
Yes.
It was not there.
Absolutely was.
No, it wasn't.
I wish I had it printed that one out.
You know what? They could have moved the car.
They
after
didn't.
You left because they ran.
They didn't.
Yeah.
There's video of it too. There's video of it on the same place. There's a lot of pictures of it there. So that's the thing.
You cannot have this picture. You got to understand something. What we're talking about.
Cameras can make changes.
No, what we're talking about is this is the Pentagon here. Okay. My car cannot be down here because the Pentagon was hit right here.
Well, regardless, the FDR, the flight path.
What I'm saying?
They all say the plane flew here, right here. This is where the official story says.
My car, the smoke speaks for itself.
Your car was here inside the Pentagon area, right?
That's right. It was not down here. This is Columbia Pike.
What was it doing here?
That's where I was driving. I came up off of.
There's a pickup spot here in front of the Pentagon?
No, there's no pickup. See, I'm coming from Roslyn.
Okay.
I'm coming from Roslyn. And coming from Roslyn, what we call H Road.
So where are you trying to say the car was here?
The car was back here.
Okay.
Here, okay.
It says we know that the poles were down here. So you're saying the car was like up here.
That's right. That's where. I mean, hold it. What you say you got and what the picture shows is different. The smoke is here.
No, this is a different perspective. That's all.
The smoke, the fire is here. That's where I was.
That's a different perspective.
But you got to understand something.
Yeah.
The plane came into view, and the plane hit the Pentagon. I'm where the plane hit the Pentagon. This is where I was. I was not down at Columbia Pike. I never reached Columbia Pike.
Well, this isn't Columbia.
That is Columbia
going running
Pike.
underneath it, right?
That is Columbia Pike. I live out here. I know where it is.
All the pictures show you over there.
Regardless of what they show.
They show you standing there.
This doesn't show it.
They show you standing there.
Well, you got to understand, this does not show it.
Yeah, that's where this is.
This does not show it. This shows the pole here. It doesn't show anything down here. I was not down here. I was not at that filling station. The filling station is on this side of Columbia Pike. I was on the other side of Columbia Pike.
Well, the problem is none of these poles were knocked down.
Regardless to that.
They can make pictures look any kind of way they want it to look.
Well, but there's a whole bunch of them.
See, this is where the confusion is. See, I was there. See, and this speaks for itself. Anytime you draw a line and you come up here and you show a picture over here, I was never there. I'm here. This speaks for itself. See, this speaks for itself. You can't you can't deny what you see here.
Well, that doesn't show the bridge at all, so you can't tell where it is.
What is drawn over there is a different thing. I was over here. These two things line up. This does not line up with nothing. I don't know where that came from.
That's where all the poles are downed in all the pictures, right?
Well, see, I can't explain where the pole came from. Only thing I can tell you is where the pole hit my car. And this is where it hit my car.
Or you know what? How about if we go see your cab tonight?
Let's go.
Okay.
It's mine.
Let's do it.
I have permission to go on my property.
That's great. I mean, we'd really appreciate it.
After going back and forth arguing with Lloyd for a bit about his location, he agreed to get in the car and go to the country where he'd been storing the cab for all these years, preserved underneath a tarp. He had his property about an hour and a half away from his home in Arlington, and he agreed to take us there to get exclusive footage and images of the cab as it was today, preserved. So this is an amazing opportunity. We took him up on this and started to pack up. Meanwhile, as I was recording the pack up, his wife got back into the conversation. At this point, Shirley started talking about different things that happened, and we told her, listen, because of the evidence we have, we know that the plane did not hit the building and continued on. Now her response to this was, yes. My response back to her was, excuse me? And she said, what you said. So she literally agreed with us that the plane did not hit the building. And then when pressed further, she went ahead and said, oh, I'm not going to say anything else, just like she did about knowing why the cab wasn't taken in for evidence by the FBI. So this was definitely a strange moment for me, a surreal moment, to have Lloyd's FBI employee wife telling us that, in fact, she doesn't believe the plane hit the building either. So you can kind of hear it in the audio. I'll play it, but it is covered up by the other talking and going on at the moment. So try to listen to that here.
But at least give us some to examine that physical evidence so we can show other people, look, here's the damage. Because, you know, a lot of people have questions. You know, that's just all over the place. We put your interview out, people ask us, well, how does this make sense? We're like, this is what he told us. You know?
None of their business, leave it alone.
Well, you know, but this is a world historical event.
You know,
and like I said,
why leave it alone?
Because it gets on. If it were me, I wouldn't be talking to you guys. I wouldn't be talking to anybody because they don't believe anything you say. They trying to put you somewhere where you weren't and tell you where you were and when you weren't. So if that's what they're going to do, why talk to anybody? So you get ready to go somewhere.
Yeah, we're going to go see the cab.
No, you're not. You're going down the country today. I've got dinner started, and I didn't cook dinner. What are you going to prove by all of this?
They're trying to iron something out.
We're trying to iron it out. And frankly, the very fact that they did not bring that cab in for evidence is troubling.
It's very troubling.
You know it.
They took it. They kept it for a day or two.
No, you just said they didn't bring it in for evidence, and you know why.
No, I said they did keep it for a couple of days.
No, they didn't. I got it back the next day.
Yeah.
I said they didn't let you have. They wouldn't let you get near it. We walked up there too.
Well, it's because they impounded it, but they didn't. The FBI should have been forensic evidence for a while.
The FBI thought he had been killed, but I told him he was alive. So that's when they came over here to talk to him.
And when was that?
The next day.
The very next day. I think that's weird too. Why did they think he was dead? There was no body.
They said somebody told him away.
A lot of stories. A lot of stories.
They just took away the body, huh?
Yeah, and left the car.
You know, if I was okay, and I had to go by the evidence that was shown me,
right,
and I felt that this bridge was where it happened, I'd be confused too.
Okay.
You take a tour through the Pentagon, and they tell you, they bring it up. Yes, there was a cab driver that was injured.
Injured? Were you injured?
No.
There you go.
That's the story.
That's the story.
That's why I asked you that.
One thing about it, you got to understand something. When people do things and get away with it, you eventually it's going to come to me. And when it comes to me, it's going to be so big I can't do nothing about it. So it has to be stopped in the beginning when it's small to keep it from spreading.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. To keep it from getting this far.
Yeah,
to where
but if there was a
talking
lie,
to.
we need to expose it.
That's right.
And if they did lie to do what they're doing now, the problem is 9/11 isn't over and done with. 9/11 is permanent global war, permanent death for people every day right now, dying.
innocent people.
9/11 was an event that a lot of people recognized as this big. Now we have the war on terror. Now we have, but 9/11 wasn't the start of this, and it's not the end of it.
That plane could have
It
hit
didn't all start with 9/11. No, it's been going on. We need a war on our homeland. The terrorists.
You know the plane
go to Iraq.
I
know.
You know those buildings represented that when it came down with the plane?
Sure.
They represent
Freedom and financial markets.
They represent the dollar sign that S.
Yes.
Yeah, what?
Yes.
What'd you say?
Yes.
What did I say?
I better go fix that or
How'd you hear that?
The dollar sign. Yep.
She knows something. Your wife, she's smart. She knows something. So let's go.
Okay.
So despite Shirley Hughes's protests, Lloyd was excited, it seemed, to go see the cab with us.
You actually took some pictures of his cab on the highway that day.
I took some pictures of his cab, I think after the light pole had fallen on it and broken the window while it was parked there. Did you have to leave it there? I don't remember the circumstance.
I picked it up the next day.
Yeah. So, yeah, I gave you those pictures, right?
But he didn't. Do you have them or?
I probably still have them someplace, yeah.
You don't have them? Oh, he didn't. We were hoping maybe we could take a look at them.
Well, I don't want to get into that right now with you, but I can get you a disc if you want to send something to them or something like that. That's up to you. I'd have to look through. I can't remember. I can't remember what it is I provided you. And there's probably just a half a dozen or something like that.
There's no way you can have to dig those up right now?
Well,
since we're here, because we're from California. We're in town just for a little bit. We're actually going to go out to the country with Lloyd right now and take a look at the cab.
Well, why don't you do that, and I'll go and get a disc or look and see what I can come up with.
Okay.
Well, I'm involved in this. I was there. There's no thing that convinced me. No one has come up. Only person that's come up with anything similar to me is the house that we just left.
With those pictures?
He
now, are those pictures published anywhere?
Not that I know of.
Yeah, we've got to see those pictures. We've got it. And he was there on Route 27 that day, is that it?
Yeah.
He was driving?
No, he was. I don't know why he was there.
But he's your neighbor anyway. Did you know him before then?
No.
You didn't know him before? Okay.
No. This is
Mike's his name?
circumstantial. It just happened.
Yeah.
I can't.
Now, did he get pictures? Did he get pictures of the pole inside the cab before you took it out?
I don't know.
Well, you said you saw the pictures.
I did, but man, we talk about. We're talking about the importance of different things. I just looked at them, and I still have them somewhere in the house.
We had an hour and a half to talk with him about his feelings and various things about the event. Lloyd seemed to agree with us in the sense that there's more to the 9/11 story. And he seemed to question his involvement with the event. What he kept repeating was that this is bigger than he is. This is bigger. This is for the people with a lot of money, and that he doesn't have a lot of money. So in essence, this puts him on a different class or a different scale, which is clearly the case, but that doesn't absolve him of involvement, as we know that assets on many different levels would have been involved. He did express on multiple times how this is a big event, and how history is typically different than what is reported.
No, I wasn't supposed to be involved in this. This is too big for me, man. This is a big thing. Man, this is a world thing happening. I'm a small man,
Right.
My lifestyle is completely different from this.
Right.
I'm not supposed to be involved in this. This is for other people who have money and all this kind of stuff.
But you said, wait, what do you mean?
Well, I'm not supposed to be involved in this. I don't have nothing.
So is your point that these people that have all the money,
this is their thing.
This is their event.
This is for them.
Meaning they're doing it for their own reasons.
That's right. I'm not supposed to be in it.
But they used you, right?
I'm in it.
You're in it.
Yeah, we came across the highway together.
You and their event.
That's right.
But they must have planned that.
It was planned.
They meant for you to be there, didn't they?
No, that didn't mean for me to be there. You know what his story is? Just what I said. You got to understand what you're saying.
His story.
It's his story.
Absolutely.
It's not the truth. It's his story.
Right.
It has nothing to do with the truth.
Nope.
It's his story.
Another notable detail that we found out in our first interview with Lloyd is that he was reading a book by David Icke called Children of the Matrix on 9/11, and that this book was sitting in the front seat of his cab on that day. We know because they brought out photos showing the cab, showing the inside of the cab, and showing how that book was sitting there on the seat. So we initially asked Lloyd as soon as we saw the images, so you read David Icke? And he said, well, yeah, I read a little bit of everything, was his response at the time. So now that we had Lloyd in the car, I figured it'd be important to have him elaborate a bit on this. And sure enough, he admitted that he read David Icke. But what's very curious is that he also said, prior to 9/11, he learned about David Icke and other factors from a class that he would take in the area. So I'm not sure if it was a conspiracy class or what it was exactly, but he suggested that they talked about conspiracies regarding the Princess Diana and other things. And so the real details behind what this class was and whether or not this has anything to do with Lloyd's involvement in this operation, we'll never know. But it was certainly a curious point that I think deserves to at least be mentioned.
Well, how about this, Lloyd? On 9/11, you had that book in your car from David Icke.
Yeah, I did.
Well, you know what that book's about? It was your book, right?
Yeah.
What? What do you have to say about the things he says?
Well, he's familiar with a lot of things I'm not familiar with. He has experience. He has interviews with people that have more knowledge about different things.
Like what?
Well, everything. See, at the time I was reading David Icke's book, I was going to a class every week. We were dealing with stuff like this. I mean, it was a surprise to me that it happened to me, but we were dealing with the thing that happened with some woman that was killed. All this was government stuff. I think they're from England. They're killed in this car in a tunnel.
Oh, Princess Diana?
Right, that's right. We were dealing with all this. I mean, we were dealing with books on
conspiracies.
Yeah. I mean, all this stuff is big game, man. All this hush-hush stuff.
So we proceeded to drive to the cab. Now, I want to make a special note here at how lucid and clear Lloyd is. He's not a senile old man. He's very conscious of his surroundings, and he's very conscious of what's happening around him, and he knows the roads like the back of his hand. He's been a cab driver, a DC cab driver for decades, and he still drives a cab to this day. So he's definitely lucid enough to be able to continue driving a cab. And as he gave me directions and described where to go, it was clear at all times he's thinking about the road. He's conscious of the moment and very much present in the conversation. So this isn't a senile, crazy old man who doesn't know what he's saying. We know that he's a rather sharp individual. This became clear in all the hours that we spent with him in this rather intimate exchange we had and experience visiting the cab. So we reached the cab. You can see now the footage of us examining the cab, taking a look at it inside and out. Of course, the hood didn't have scratches on it, as you can see on 9/11. It was still preserved that way today. But now we got to look close at the interior and see if there's anything here, because Lloyd claims that the pole speared the windshield of the cab. So a lot of people figured, well, you don't know, maybe the pole went all the way through the back seat, and that's what held it up over the hood and why it didn't scratch the hood. So this means it would literally have to puncture the back seat and through the floorboards, perhaps. This may have held up such a long pole, but the fact is there's no damage to the cab in this regard. So now we know for a fact the floorboards were intact. In fact, they were holding water at the time. There's only a minor puncture in the back seat, very minor. so the pole certainly didn't go through it. Of course, even if it had, it would be strange because the top part of the pole was bent. So if it had punctured all the way through, it's doubtful that they would have been able to lift the pole out at all. Which brings up another point. I've always wondered if, in fact, you were in his situation and a pole did spear his windshield, and he ended up on the side of the road with a pole still sticking out over the hood. What are the chances that you or anyone would attempt to remove that pole under any circumstances, let alone under a situation where the Pentagon was burning right behind you and it was a major attack going on at the time? This right here has always kept me questioning Lloyd's account. I mean, why would he even try to remove the pole, let alone flag over this silent stranger who allegedly helped him? And he also claims he fell down removing the pole, so if he did fall over while holding the pole, naturally this would damage the cab as well. So there are many factors that don't make sense about Lloyd's account. And after visiting the cab and seeing the damage to the cab firsthand, it doesn't clear up his story at all. It doesn't make his story seem any more possible. In fact, now we're even more certain that this light pole could not have speared the windshield of Lloyd's cab.
What's that?
See if you want to fix it.
Oh, yeah.
Should be open.
So
no damage done to the front of the seat, but definitely the dash.
So you're saying,
but not the hood.
The pole was all on the passenger side, or was it sticking out over on this side?
No, the pole went through. It went through over here, straight back.
Straight back?
Yeah.
And it was sticking up over the hood over here?
Yeah, it came out where the dent is, right there in the dent.
This dent right here?
Yeah, yeah. It went right in there.
Okay, and
check your rear seat out.
When you took it out, do you remember if you took it out on that side, or did you guys bring it off on this side?
It came out straight.
Right, but when you lifted it out?
It came out straight. Came out this
Oh, it came out just straight in front.
I don't know how that got broke off, but that's all.
So you're saying it was resting on that dent?
Watch your head when you stick it out.
Yeah, be careful.
Glass sticking right there at it.
So the pole pushed back into it?
It went right into the back seat. That's where it stopped.
So this seat was moved to the side.
And you know good about that cinematic.
This is the rip in the back seat.
Small one.
Very small.
So it did not impale the floors at all.
So he said it actually hit the dash, pushed it.
He's thinking that the pole was here. Yeah, dented in here. Pushed all the way through there, the top part. And the rest of it was up over the hood. Like that.
Oh yeah, still running good, huh?
Right, that's true. How many miles was on this one? You don't know.
In fact, I don't know if this is
Oh, right. You remember seeing any pieces of plane on the road?
You know, the thing about Kappa Cab's not cooperative like what it used to be.
No, well, yeah. Well, we saw the newspaper article. Yeah, had to show, had to go under, kind of, right, or something.
So
Okay, so now we're heading back after taking a look at the cab, and we talked more about how unlikely it is that a pole could have speared his cab and caused the damage that we just observed. And Lloyd agrees. This damage is quite unlikely and strange and doesn't seem to make sense. So he just goes ahead and agrees with this notion, but maintains his story. Okay, so you're saying how long you think the pole was, approximately?
it was sticking out. Way
no, the whole pole.
I'd say the pole was about 30 or 40 foot long.
30 or 40 foot long.
Yeah, because it was down on the ground, like the telegraph pole sticking up. The base of it was in concrete.
But the base, the bottom part was outside.
Right.
The top bent part was inside.
Right.
And the pole you're thinking was maybe 30 to 40 feet long.
I would say that. And actually that can be confirmed by measuring the pole.
Well, yeah, the VDOT says those poles are about 40 feet long.
Okay.
But, you know, it was cut off at the top a little bit, though, so maybe some was a little bit shorter.
Cut off? That pole was cut off.
Well, the top lamp part was cut off. What do I make it right here?
Yeah.
So, if the light top part was inside the interior, you think what, the interior cab to the back seat to the dash is about how long?
I say the interior of the car is similar to this, from the dash back.
From the dash back to the back seat, so about 5 feet.
I'd say 5 feet.
Let's see, 5 feet, okay. So that means the rest of that pole had to be outside, straight up in the air.
Well, it was. It wasn't on the hood. See, that's amazing. People tell me what it couldn't build.
Yeah, how does that make sense?
But see, I'm telling you, the car speaks for itself. You know.
Well, there's damage, but
there's no damage.
What people wonder is if the people behind 9/11 made that damage. Not you, but someone else made it, and they used you as a story.
Well, it's nothing you can make up about it unless you put a dent in it, because it doesn't have any dent in it from a pole.
Right. So they just messed up the interior. And the windshield, it made it look like something hit it.
No, it did go through the windshield. Glass is all over the car.
But don't you think when you came to a sideways stop, you kind of slid to you said you locked up the brakes, right? So that way, when you were going that fast, 40 miles an hour, and the pole got slammed into your car that fast, as you came to a stop skidding sideways, locked up the brakes, wouldn't the pole shift?
It would seem that way, but it didn't.
It didn't.
It didn't.
So it didn't shift, and it didn't touch the hood.
That's right.
How can that be?
Well, you have to ask somebody else. I can only tell you what I know. I don't know anything else. I can't add nothing to that, because that's it.
But obviously there's too much damage there for it to be like a small piece of the pole. Well, it couldn't have been just the top piece.
Oh no, that damage there is a real thing.
On the inside. I mean, there's a lot more damage than any small piece could do, but then doesn't seem like there's enough damage for a big piece. That's why people question it so much.
I don't have any questions about that because I was there.
Yeah, but anybody else?
I'm just amazed that the pole didn't come over and touch me while I was doing what it's doing, because I did not see it coming. I don't know where it came from. I did not see it coming. It was there. When the plane went across, all of a sudden the pole crashed through.
So we continued back. Still, the idea was to take a look at the photos that the person that he knew, he says, took on that day. He still maintains he was on the north side, not where the down poles were, but where we found out that the plane actually was. He maintains that these independent photos would reveal his true location. But we maintained that we had photos enough as it was of him on that day showing exactly where he was. We wanted to stop by my host's house. I was staying at some friend's house, but we wanted to stop by so we could pull up the images on the computer that we had that showed the perspective and showed definitively his true location on the bridge, on the south side of the bridge that day. So he agreed, and again, this whole entire time Lloyd was entirely cooperative, very friendly. We find Lloyd to be a nice guy and a hard guy not to like. So believe me, it's not an easy thing for us to accuse him of being involved with this operation. But the fact is, the evidence is what it is, and that's not our fault. We can't avoid the fact that he is implicated by this evidence, and that, of course, his account is physically impossible. So we got to the house, and this gave us the ultimate opportunity, because now we had the internet, we had the images, we could show him everything we needed to show him to prove his location. So the following footage is a bit disturbing in the sense that when faced with this truth, Lloyd's reaction is very disturbing and difficult to take, but take a look at it and see for yourself how Lloyd reacted once he was shown this definitive proof proving that he was not on the north side and that he was in fact on the south side of the bridge, far from where the plane was on 9/11.
Okay. This picture right here, here you are, you see? The car's kind of surrounded by these guys. There's the pole right here. Now see what this is? That's the cobblestone from the bridge. Now take a look at this. Come over here. Here's the bridge right here. Now there's your cab. It's sideways on the side of the road. With the hole in it, the pole's laying down right over there. The pole used to be up right here. This is pole number 1. Well, you're right on the bridge.
No.
That's your cab, right? Look close. See that?
Faced the wrong way.
No, it's facing the same way. Facing the same way it was right here. This is taken from the other side. This way it's facing. Look at that one.
I've never seen that picture there before.
You never saw it? This is Jason Ingersoll. He was a Navy military photographer. Here's a couple more. There you are.
Yeah.
I know you've seen that one.
Hold it.
Uh-huh.
See where the building is?
Yeah.
See where the hole is?
Yeah.
That is the picture.
No, yeah, but these pictures are taken right after each other at the same time. That shows the pole. The most important point is that here's your cab, right?
That's not.
See your cab? See it? There's the grill. You see you right here. You're wearing the cap.
Yeah, I see it. I see it.
All right. Now there's the pole. That's your pole. See the bend?
Yeah.
That's the pole you pulled out, right? There's your cab. I mean, it couldn't be any other pole. The lamp is down next to it. But see how it's got the cobblestone?
I see the sign.
That's the sign.
But that's that.
And that's the cobblestone.
That's not.
From the bridge.
I see that from the bridge, but that's not where it happened.
Well, how come it's not where it happened? Well, how did they get there then?
I can't explain that.
You can't explain it?
I can't explain it.
Because here it is. Look on my desktop. This is the government image that you've seen. See this right here?
That's right.
So it's the same pole laying there, with the cab laying there, sideways.
Hold it.
Uh-huh.
See that picture there?
The bridge is right over here.
No, it's not.
Yeah, it is.
I can take you and show you.
Well, I mean, the picture is what it is. Now, you just said you can't explain this picture, right?
No.
So what does that mean? You think the picture's fake?
I've never seen that before.
You never saw?
I've never seen that. The bridge, where the plane went across and where the pole came in, there was no bridge.
But that's the bridge.
That is a bridge, but that's not the bridge.
Well, there's only one bridge in the area.
I know, but that's not where I was. One guy took pictures. He lives right over on 17th Street.
He took pictures of the event?
And he was up on the bridge.
Mm-hmm. But that's you, right?
I don't know.
See the cap?
I see the cap, but I don't know if that's me or not.
You were wearing that cap, right? Do you remember these guys?
No.
Do you remember the white car?
No.
Let me see. Okay, here you are. That's you. Right? Can you see it? And there's the cab too. This is also right by the bridge. Cherokees around it.
Hold tight.
Here you are again.
Hold tight.
Okay, go back to this one?
Yeah. Those signs there.
Yeah. That's right underneath the highway sign.
Now I can take you where those signs are. They're not on the bridge.
Well, okay. No, I'm pretty certain that they are. You can see them in all the images. I'll show you. There's more.
The upright signs.
Here's the signs.
That's
There's
right.
your cab's right here. You can't see it. It's behind the bush.
Right.
But you're there. Here's behind there. Same place.
Let's go where the signs are.
Look, I'll show you. I'll show you how the signs are there. There you go. Here you go. Look at this picture. There's the signs. There's the bridge. See that? So your cab's right here. It's behind this thing. Here's the bridge. Here are the signs. Here are the signs. The bridge is right here. Cab's right here. There's your cab. You can see it. This is south of the bridge.
The only thing I can say is let's go where it is.
We can do that. But there's the cab, right?
Okay.
That's the bridge. Here's the signs.
That's not where it happened.
What? So what about this image? Are you suggesting, well, is this your cab?
The only thing I can say is where it happened is not on the bridge.
Is not in that picture? You mean that picture is not your cab or what?
With all the traffic there and stuff, there was no traffic at the time.
There was no traffic, right, because they blocked it off.
That's right, there was no traffic on
They blocked off the area. You see how that's the sign, right?
Yeah. But,
you see how that's your cab, right?
Right, but I want to take you, we go there where it is.
But that's it. We can go there, absolutely.
Yes.
It'll be dark.
No problem. The sign will still be there.
Yeah, signs will still be there to the south of the bridge.
And I will show you where it was. That's not where it was.
So this is what I'm not getting. You're saying, like right here, you can see your cab, right?
I see a cab, yeah.
Well, you see how it's got the hole in there. It's the same cab we just went to go see on your property.
Okay.
And this is from 9/11. You see it smoking still. And there's the bridge. This is the south of the bridge. That's the sign right there.
How far is that smoke back?
I don't even care about that. All I know is you're to the south of the bridge.
But I'm not.
You are in that picture.
But see, you get illusions away from the reality. The car was right there at the Pentagon, not at the bridge. The bridge is beyond the Pentagon. The Pentagon is behind me.
But those signs are there. That's where the pole was. The pole was laying there. All these images show you to the south of the bridge, right there.
I understand what you're saying, but I'm telling you where I was. Where I was at the Pentagon. I was not down at the bridge.
Well, look, the Pentagon's right there. It's still...
No, not in reality.
So you're saying your car in these images is somewhere that you were not?
I'm saying that the illusion you get from the pictures taken is putting me somewhere where I was at the Pentagon. I was not at the bridge. The bridge is further down the road. I was never down there. Mm-hmm. At no time was I down there. The bridge is close to the gas station. Actually, the bridge is crossing Columbia Pike. I was nowhere near Columbia Pike. I was closer to the heliport. Where the heliport used to be, I was beyond that, before the bridge.
You're saying you were further north of the heliport?
I was between the heliport and what we call H Road.
That's not where this image is, though. How did the cab get there in this image?
I cannot.
And how did you get there in this image?
Well, see, we're going by a picture. I want to go by reality, where I was.
All the pictures show you in the same place. That's the point. Here it is, right there. There's the pole. You see it. These guys surrounded you. They showed up and surrounded you. Were they helping you? Did they help you damage the cab?
No. I didn't get any help with the car.
You know this guy right here? This black guy? He's hard to see. Those guys were there hanging out with you, and they surrounded the scene.
Well, see, none of that.
This is the sign. This is the sign.
All those pictures weren't there because there was no traffic on Route 27.
This is blocked off. This is traffic going the other way. There was traffic going on the other side. You can see traffic going northbound.
Right.
Southbound, they blocked it off after a while.
That traffic wasn't there.
No, these guys they surrounded you, and they had a few cars coming through for a while, but then they blocked it all off later. We have video of all of that. But here's your cab behind here. Here's the pole right in there. This is the sign. This is all south of the bridge. And the problem is we know that the plane flew north of the bridge, far north of the bridge. That's where all the people put it. So that's why it's like...
You said it was far north. What do you consider north? Down Shirley Highway or south?
Right. You were headed south.
I was headed south.
Right. The plane was north of that, far north of that.
No.
Well, you said you were north of that, but that's wrong because of the images.
I'm saying that I was at the heliport, where the heliport used to be.
The heliport is north of the bridge. The heliport around that area is about where the plane flew. You're right there. That's what everyone says.
That's where the car was.
That's not where the pole was or your car in these images.
See the image there at the Pentagon behind me?
Uh-huh.
That's not where the intersection is.
That's the Pentagon. That's your car. That's where you are. We see you.
We have to go there.
Here's the cab, right here. I mean, there's just no denying it. It's in the video too. We've got videotape of it. There's the cab. See the colors?
Yeah.
There's you, right there.
Yeah.
See that? There's you.
But these poles.
These poles are the same ones right here. These poles. See, look at. Same poles. See? Pole, sign, bridge. You, cab.
That's not where I was. To Columbia Pike, I was between that exit and H Road. When you come off of H Road, where the Pentagon stops, I was between there and the heliport.
But that's not what the images show. All these images show something else.
But I know where I was.
Well, how could you remember? How could you be right and the images be wrong? There you are. There's you. Right? That's you, right?
Okay. There's the fire.
And there's the cab.
Right.
There's the pole. You see the corner.
And there's the Pentagon. And if you see the picture, if you have any understanding about that picture,
it's right here. Here's the understanding. You back up further and you see this is the same place.
Then you will know.
There's the cab. There's the cab. There's the light sign. There's the light sign.
Then you know that's not near the Pentagon. I mean, that's not near.
Well, it's in front of the Pentagon. You see the Pentagon right there.
No, that's not near the bridge.
Yeah, it is. Look, there's the bridge. It's right here.
Not according to being there. The picture's showing one thing, but the actuality is different.
This is the bridge. I mean, we can go there, but the pictures are right here, and it's not going to make a difference. I mean,
it will. Being there will make a difference because the Pentagon was behind me. If I was at the bridge, the Pentagon would be down the road. I'm at the Pentagon. I was at the heliport. that's where I was. I was not.
Well, the Pentagon's there still. You see it. It's all right there. And they say, though, you see, the thing is, too, the official story says the plane came in that way, hit those light poles that were there on the ground right by your cab. Same light pole you see in all the images. It's all in the same place.
Where the light pole came from.
You don't know where it came from?
I don't know where. I never saw it.
Who put it there?
I never saw it.
Who put it there, though?
Who put it there?
Who put the pole there?
Well, I put the pole there after the pole came out of my car.
Somebody helped you, Lloyd. I mean, you can tell us. It's okay. We don't blame you for this. Somebody had to put that pole there.
No, the pole came out of the car. That's where the pole came from. But where it came from before it hit the car, I don't know.
It didn't come from a plane, because the plane wasn't over there.
I know where I was.
The plane wasn't there. That's you. The plane wasn't there.
I know where I was. I can't deny what I don't know.
Well, what you're doing is denying the photos. You see that photo. You see your own cab.
No, I'm saying that where I was at the Pentagon, across the street from the Pentagon. When the plane came in, it came in and it went into the Pentagon behind me. From the way the car was twisted, it went to the side. But I was not down at Columbia Pike.
Well, if that's true, even that doesn't make sense. It proves a military deception on 9/11. But the fact is, the images show something else as far as where you
The
were.
only thing I can do is take you there, man. We don't have to look at this. I can take you. The thing hasn't changed. I know where I was. I was between Columbia Pike and H Road. H Road is a road that comes off of up to Route 27 and come around like this, and Columbia Pike is down here. I was back down
So
here.
you're seeing that they moved the cab, the pole, and you? Here you are. That's you.
I can only tell you that the pictures are showing one thing, but actually I was somewhere different.
The pictures are showing one thing, but actually you were somewhere different.
That's
So
right.
maybe they faked the pictures or
I'm
something.
not saying they did. The only thing I'm saying that you get one image by looking at the picture, you get another image. When
These
you're
are
there.
different photos. Every photo shows you there. Every one that exists shows you south of the bridge.
Well, what you're doing then?
There's no perception. There you are. There's the cab. There's the bridge. There's the signs. It's all the same place.
I was not at the bridge.
Well, okay. We can go back and forth with this, but obviously...
No, I can take you there. We can go there. Just like we went to see the car. We can go there, but I was not at the bridge.
So you were not where it shows you in the image?
I'm not saying I wasn't there. I'm just telling you that according to where I was, it's different from what the picture's showing.
Different from what the picture's showing?
That's right.
Where the picture's showing you standing right there.
With a picture, you can do different things with a camera.
Mm-hmm.
But I was there.
Well, what do you mean different? There's no different thing. I mean, it's just the picture is what it is. You can't change it.
Well, I'm not saying to change it. I'm just.
And in the footage, we have video footage too. That's the thing. And it all shows you there.
But I know where I was. I know I was right there at the Pentagon. I was not down at the Columbia Pike. I was not down at Columbia. I don't know how you get a.
This isn't Columbia Pike. This is right before the on-ramp onto 395 south. Right before the ramp. That's where your car was.
You said the ramp at 395?
Yeah.
Off of what?
Off of 27.
I wasn't that far.
That shows you. That's where it shows your car right here.
Regardless of that, I know where I was.
Regardless of the images.
I know where I was. The pictures of the image is one thing, but I know where I was. You look across the field, you see the Navy Annex sitting up on the hill. If I was at Columbia Pike, you wouldn't be able to see that. The Navy Annex would be down the road like this. Navy Annex was this way.
All I know is what the pictures say.
I understand what you're saying, but see, you weren't there.
Whoever took these pictures was there.
They did, but they're not showing you.
They're showing you the sign. This is the VDOT camera pole right here. See that? I'll show you the VDOT camera pole on the highway.
Well, let's go down the highway.
We can do that.
Let's go down the highway.
All right. I say let's go see what Mike's pictures say.
Okay.
Okay, so the journey wasn't over. After that, he agreed to go pick up the images from his associate or the person he knew, as well as go to the area so he can point out exactly where he claims that he was on 9/11. It was dark, there was lightning, but we proceeded to go and do this. But first we stopped and picked up the photos. It was kind of late, but we knocked on the door, and the gentleman finally came to the door. He had a packet ready for us with a CD and one image already printed out. It was a low resolution image. It was the only image that he had, or that he gave us. Why he would have one low resolution, even though he was allegedly the photographer, and why he would bother printing it out and creating a CD with just the same low resolution image is kind of strange if you ask me, but we did get the image and I showed it to Lloyd and he acknowledged that. In fact, the image, just like all the others we showed to him back at my friend's house, show him on the south side of the bridge. He had to acknowledge that even this independent source that he provided for us confirms what we had said all along, and that he was on the south side of the bridge. Yet he denied still that this is where he was located and where the cab was located, and still stuck to his story. Never did he concede, never did he say, okay, well maybe I was there, like any normal honest person would. He just stuck to his story over and over and over. So now he insisted on going to the area in 2008, go to the same location so he can tell us exactly where he says that he was and where the images do not show that he was. So we're happy to oblige, and we proceeded to Route 27 to take the exact route from where Lloyd says that he traveled on 9/11, headed towards the area where you see him in all the photos and video footage from that day. All right, here we go.
Make a right turn.
We're gonna come on to Columbia, or onto Route 27, right. Southbound. This is the exact route you.
This way I came.
Okay, there's the north end of the Pentagon.
All this stuff has been built up.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Okay.
Alright, here we go now.
Okay, now go south.
Okay, yeah.
On the right hand side. Okay. Now you see those signs there?
Yeah.
Now those are the signs that involve. I was nowhere down at Columbia Pike. I was long in
right here?
No, right here. This is about where I was. Over here.
Right here in front of the Columbia Pike exit?
I never got to this far. I was never down this far. I was back there.
Well, all the pictures don't show you way over here, even the one we just got from your friend.
No, I wasn't. I was not near Columbia Pike. That's the exit go to Columbia Pike. I was never down that far.
All the pictures show your cab. Here's the bridge right here. Here's the poles that were knocked down. They were all knocked down right here.
No, that's not where I was.
They all show you right here.
That's not where I was.
Here, Lloyd.
That's not where I was. That's not where I was. You can go around this way if you want to go back to where we were. You can go back, but
we'll make one more trip.
I did not come around that way. Not down at this bridge.
Even the picture your friend Mike just showed us.
I can see.
You see that, right?
I can see.
How can that be?
Well, I'm only telling you what happened.
You're telling us something that's completely different from the picture.
Tell us what happened.
I have no problem with that. Make a right, go back. I have no problem with that.
You have no problem with what? The fact that the pictures say something different from what you say?
I have no problem. I know where I was.
There's not a single image that shows you anywhere near that area.
I understand that. I have no problem with that.
Doesn't that bother you?
No.
It doesn't bother you?
No. What is?
That the pictures say a different story from what you told?
No problem. The way you look at it, you see one thing, but where I was, see, I was right. See, the hell point used to be right over here. Mm-hmm. And I was right across the street. I was nowhere near Columbia Pike.
That means you do have a problem.
Now the way to get, no I don't. The way you get to where we're going is keep on down. 110. See, it's not Route 1, it's Jefferson Davis, but it's not Route 1, it's 110. Jefferson Davis Highway is Route 1.
Route 10's not the same.
No, it's an extension of Route 1. Okay, now we go to the right.
Alright, let's just do it one more time.
We came down here one day with Channel 4 and the police ran us away.
Yeah, oh yeah, they don't like you to film. If they saw us, they might pull us over. Where were you outside? They were trying to film Channel 4?
Yeah, we were taping the program.
Yeah.
Now keep going down the street. You're going too fast.
Okay. Okay, we're on the north side again. You're saying, where were you?
I'm saying that
you weren't even
where these signs are right here.
Were these signs right here?
Right here. These signs right here where I was at.
Before them, north of them.
No, this is where the pictures were taken.
No, they weren't. There's no cobblestone there.
Well, I'm telling you, that's where I was.
There's no cobblestone.
That's where I was.
This is the signs that you see in the images.
I understand that, but that's where I was.
These are the images. The VDOT pole, the VDOT camera pole, all of that. The cobblestone, look at the cobblestone bridge. That's you. You're standing right next to it. See that?
I have no problem with that. I was not down here.
See the cobblestone?
I was not here.
That's where you were.
I was not here.
Oh, Lloyd. All the pictures show you there.
I have no problem with that.
They show you, not just your car, but you.
I have no problem with that, but I'm telling you where I was.
How does that work, though? How can all the images be
fake?
fake?
It's not my job to tell you where it was. My job is to tell you the truth. You can draw your conclusions and where you want to, but I know that I'm telling the truth.
Okay, so now you've seen all the footage we have regarding Lloyd England. It's up to you to make a determination. Clearly he has a new story now, and clearly he's going to stick to his story and not admit anything other than what he was told to say about 9/11, or not admit anything other than what he said from day one, and that is that his cab was speared by this light pole. The fact that he changed his location now to flip the argument in anticipation for what we were going to show him really speaks volumes. This whole experience of dealing with Lloyd England and his wife, Shirley Hughes England, has been quite an experience. But in light of the incredible amount of evidence that we have showing that the plane was on the north side and nowhere near this pole, it's clear why there's such a disconnect here between Lloyd and his story and why it's so questionable. So we're calling on people to focus attention on Lloyd, because obviously, although Lloyd isn't to blame for this operation, it's 100% clear that he is a direct link to the perpetrators. So this cannot be ignored. Many people were implicated by this north side evidence. It proves that many operatives were used to lie to sell the official Pentagon story. We can't prove all of them, but we're certain now that operatives were used and that this operation of deception is very complex. Attention must be focused on this incredibly vulnerable point of the 9/11 official story, because it's clear now that Lloyd's story is not true and that the damage to his cab was caused by something other than a light pole. Now, if you look closely at the images, particularly the Jason Ingersoll images, you can see a couple of authority-looking figures and the cars that pulled up afterwards. We think they might reveal when the pole was staged if you look at the general succession, and you can see that on our website, how we lay it out for you. But you can also see pictures of the people that were there surrounding the scene, protecting the photo op. So we also call on these individuals to be called in for questioning, because it certainly looks like they have something to do with the staging of this scene as well. There's 3 individuals that surrounded the scene only minutes after the event. So we want attention to be focused on these people. If anyone knows who they are, please email us their names. We'd be happy to contact them ourselves to record their reaction to what they had to say about what happened on their day and their experience with Lloyd England and this light pole laid out on the scene that was used to push the propaganda, the 9/11 official story that has been proven false by the Northside evidence. People try to hypothesize various ways where Lloyd could be innocent, and in fact that the poles may have been knocked out by something other than the plane that was on the north side. One of the biggest hypotheses is to suggest that perhaps the poles were felled by explosives at the base, timed. So when the north side plane flew over, the poles themselves were knocked down. Well, once again, you still have the problem of the damage to the hood of his car and his cab not seeming to make any sense, or with a pole being knocked down. But when you take a close look at the physical damage to the poles. And we have enough photographs now and images to be able to do that. It's clear that the damage to these poles is irreconcilable with any sort of explosives knocking them down. Besides the fact that the poles are in fact pinched at the top, as if, you know, something had sliced them. The bases to the poles, at least some of the poles, have uniform damage. So there isn't really much to support the notion that these poles were brought down with explosives or with a sudden force of any sort of plane or the vortex of a missile or something of that nature, because the physical damage to the poles is simply irreconcilable with this. If you look at the base of pole number 4, if you look closely, you can see how there's uniform damage, and there's actually like a sooty residue along the edge of it. So the poles certainly could have been removed in advance, perhaps even weeks in advance, and people would be none the wiser in the area, thinking maybe it was just road construction if they did happen to notice poles being removed. But the night before, the poles could have been laid out. Most of the poles are hidden off to the side. And then Lloyd's scene staged shortly after the explosion, when the operatives had control of the scene and were able to drop the pole and surround the area so people in the area couldn't see.
Flipped around and I came back, and when I was coming back here, there was a person standing in the road, like right here where all this stuff was. So I basically kept going. He was telling me, he was sort of flagging me down to stop, and I got off at this exit. That's where the person was standing. He was sort of flagging me like this. I said, there's no way on earth I'm going to stop.
The fact is that no witness reports a pole entering the cab. No witness reports the cab spinning out sideways with a pole sticking out over the hood. No witness reports seeing the pole in the cab at all. There's only about just under 20 accounts where people who only mention the poles. And we find out time and time again, we've spoken with many of these witnesses, and they all simply state that, well, yeah, we just saw the poles on the ground after the fact. So the power of deduction is rather strong. Once you see those poles, it's hard to believe that anything but the plane knocked them down. The real question here is it possible for Lloyd's scene to not have been staged? And we don't believe so. If you look closely at the damage to the poles, you forensically analyze the physical evidence and listen to Lloyd's account, and then taking into consideration that we have proof, in fact, beyond a reasonable doubt, that the plane was on the north side of the gas station, far from the light poles, it's clear to us that there's foul play involved with these poles. Also, if you look at the work of Pilots for 9/11 Truth and their presentation, 9/11 Attack on the Pentagon, they have done an analysis of what would be necessary for the plane to descend from the top of the VDOT down the hill to light pole number 1. And the G-forces required at the reported speed of 535 miles per hour for this plane are off the chain. There's no possible way the plane could have descended to pole 1 and then pulled up to be low and level, as shown in the 5-frame security video. So the official story is aeronautically impossible. The account of Lloyd, England is extremely questionable and dubious, if not, well, physically impossible. And we have evidence proving that the plane was nowhere near these poles. So the only logical conclusion is that the light poles were staged. So as complex as this may seem, or difficult to pull off maybe for some individuals, It really wouldn't be, because this is the backyard of the Pentagon. They have complete control of the area. The jurisdiction is under federal authority. It's not under the authority of Arlington Police. It's under the authority of the Pentagon Police. And the Pentagon, they even control 3 out of the 5 poles. The Virginia Department of Transportation controls the other 2 poles, and that's what they told us. But once again, they wouldn't provide any information for the location of even the 2 poles that they control. So all of this gives them complete control of the area, especially when you consider the fact that we know that George Bush had left from the heliport on 9/10, and he was scheduled to return to the heliport on 9/11 at 12 noon. We have testimony from Heliport Tower Air Traffic Controller Sean Boger to this very fact. So what this means is that they have the opportunity to have Secret Service control the area or secure the area without any questions being asked for people who normally work there. So this gave them the opportunity to plan what they want and do what they needed to in preparation for the event. Furthermore, we know that the renovation that had been going on in that section was scheduled to be complete that week, and that they were actually wrapping up the renovation and closing down the semi-permanent construction sites and moving out trailers. We have testimony from a Pentagon renovation contractor to this very fact, that they were moving around trailers on 9/10. So there's a lot of chaotic activity happening in the area of the heliport and that construction area the day prior to the event and the day of the event. So it's no surprise that they'd be able to get away with staging a few light poles or putting out a few pieces of debris. The fact is, the physical evidence, the eyewitness testimony, and everything indicates that there was deception and that the scene was staged. So a lot of people are implicated by this, and we feel that this is probably one of the most vulnerable scenarios involved with the 9/11 attack. And we're calling on people to pay attention to this and to bring Lloyd in for questioning. That's all we're asking. We need congressional hearings. We need grand juries. Lloyd England needs to be subpoenaed along with all the other Northside witnesses. And then we can make a determination between who's telling the truth here, because really that's what it boils down to. Are you going to believe the account of Lloyd England? Or are you going to believe the Citgo Station witnesses and all the other witnesses who placed the plane on the north side? Because that's it. There are no independent, verifiable accounts of a plane on the south side of that station. So when you concentrate on this key area and focus on this key information, the deception becomes revealed. We're asking for people, we're calling on people to pay attention to this and to stop demonizing us for reporting this information. It's not the fault of Citizen Investigation Team that people are implicated by the evidence. It's not our fault that Lloyd's account doesn't make sense. There's too many questionable details here surrounding the event on many levels, and it's been proven impossible. So focus on this, and we thank you very much for taking a look at this important information and doing what you can to bring attention to this in the media, in the mainstream media, and to the authorities. Call your authorities. Force them to take a look at this information, because once you do, it becomes impossible to ignore.